That's the big thing. She's forcing herself to eat the salad, which is mentally draining her because she doesn't want to eat it. She wants to eat something else. So she's mentally draining herself every day to force this salad down, which is, in actuality, sabotaging her results. And she doesn't, she can. And so it's both mentally sabotaging, it's physically sabotaging her results. And where she can go eat what she wants and get way better, probably better macros because she's gonna eat a smaller portion because it's more filling to her mentally and physically.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. And today's guest, we've had him on the show before, but it's always nice to have him back on. He was actually on for our original podcast, right, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. It's good to be back here.
Yes, and he actually helped launch our podcast. He's an amazing personal trainer here in Virginia Beach, and he is actually the person who introduced me to intermittent fasting. So I'm so grateful for him. And he's helped me so much in my fitness and weight loss journey. So welcome, Chris Sykes.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
So for our listeners, do you remember the first time you telling me about intermittent fasting at the gym for the first time?
I do. I remember you had been a little frustrated for a couple of weeks, and I just happened to watch a YouTube video on fasting for the first time. And I remember I watched a whole bunch of them in one day. I think I happened to be training you the day after or a couple of days after that. And I told you about it, and you were like, I'll try anything right now at this point. I think you were frustrated with a bunch of other diets. And so I remember I told you during the workout one time, and I think you researched it yourself, and then from there launched the IF phase.
Awesome. So in my second edition of my book, which we just launched and is out now, Waste Away, I talk about people. They don't have to deprive themselves when it comes to food, but everyone needs to decide for themselves what are their red light, yellow light, and green light foods, which means like what are foods that are your red light? Like you feel terrible when you eat this, or you just don't like it, or yellow light foods where you go, I don't feel great when I eat this, but I don't feel terrible. Do you have any foods like that for you, or can you pretty much eat anything?
My red light foods are anything like heavy gluten, so like pasta and a bread. So if I have like an Italian style dinner, like lasagna and garlic bread, that combination right there put me. I think I'll feel that the most out of anything. I would say that and milk products, those two.
So gluten and dairy, you just try to limit, but you don't deprive yourself of it.
No, I don't deprive myself, but I know if I have it, let's just say I had it for lunch today. Yeah, let's say if I had it for lunch today, I'll be a lot more strict dinner time or vice versa.
Gotcha. So I like to ask all my guests that come on my show, walk us through the day and the life of Chris. So like, what is your eating window where you normally eat, and what did you eat yesterday, and what times did you eat it?
Okay, yesterday, my eating window usually opens up around 1 or 2 o'clock. So I train till around 7, 8 o'clock. So I usually get a later eating window so I can eat after I come home from training in the evening. So yesterday, I think I ate around 2:30, 3. So anywhere between 1:30 and 3, I started eating. Yesterday, what did we have yesterday? That's a good question. Oh, I had some rice. I tried some vegan food actually yesterday. It was interesting. It was supposed to be sweet and sour, like a chicken and rice type dish. And it was interesting.
That's funny. So you start your eating window around 1, and when do you end it?
Usually after I get home. So usually probably like around, I would say 9:30, 10, depending on when I get home, usually around 8. So, I'll eat probably around 9, 8:30, 9. And then that'll usually be my last.
So like 1 to 9, like an 8-hour eating window?
Yeah, on average, yeah.
Okay. And then before we start into the questions, I want to share some amazing testimonials of intermittent fasting that I read, and I want to ask you about them. So this one says, for the newbies out there, I have one instrumental tip that made intermittent fasting work for me and made it a true lifestyle. Don't deprive yourself. If I just followed that one tip when I started, I would have been at my goal weight a lot sooner. I would find myself quitting intermittent fasting at times because I was depriving myself. And what finally worked for me was to eat what I like to eat. I don't count macros. I eat mac and cheese, and I eat it until I'm full. And even though it might be slow weight loss, it's sustainable, which is huge for people because I'm able to do intermittent fasting for life. And it's not just because I'm lucky. Even though we have even though we have different body types and I'm going through menopause, my daughter-in-law is also doing the same thing with awesome results. I have seen posts of so many people ready to give up because they are finding intermittent fasting hard to stick with. Give it a couple months doing intermittent fasting your way, and I guarantee that it will change your mind. So with that being said, what do you think about this? Like, we're getting a lot of emails of people saying, I'm losing more weight when I'm not eating as clean. So like when I'm like, oh, I got to eat salads, I got to eat this, people are saying, I'm not losing as much weight. But the minute I'm starting to eat, chicken and mac and cheese, and I'm starting to lose more weight because I'm not depriving yourself.
I've been through something similar. Like when I first started intermittent fasting, I thought the same thing. And I noticed over the month, as the months go on, the weeks I ate cleaner. I didn't just looking at the leanness, I didn't have as much success. But I noticed that there was some days I just ate pizza. Like that was my one meal of the day. I ate a couple slices of pizza. I didn't eat 6 slices of pizza. I just ate 2-3 slices. I've eaten mac and cheese. I've eaten chicken. I've eaten fish, and I've eaten all these things. And I've noticed that I get great results on those days. I think it's more of the you're filling yourself up and you're satisfied eating the foods that you want. So instead of depriving yourself and eating salad, so if you eat a salad, so let's say salad's not your favorite food, you eat a chicken salad for lunch, you're starving all afternoon, you're more likely to get off track doing that day after day after day after day because you can only take so much discipline in your mind before it's like an energy bar before you use it up. So I think the way the woman described it that just wrote in, that she's taking a little bit of her foods, but she's not overindulging. She's just eating till she's full, stopping. I think portion size is a big thing, but I think, I saw similar results doing the same thing she did, eating what I wanted and just keeping my eating window strict.
Yeah, I think another thing is that what happens is with salads, like especially like if you went to like Applebee's or you went to like California Pizza Kitchen, like there is the California Pizza Kitchen salad. I was asking one girl, she was struggling with what she was eating and we were kind of coaching her through. And she said, I've been eating this California Pizza Kitchen chicken salad with Dijon balsamic vinaigrette, the full size every day. And she's like, I'm just not losing any weight. And so I looked up the calories in this California Pizza Kitchen chicken salad, even though I'm not proposing counting calories. This salad, the full size, has 1,320 calories, 94 grams of fat, 75 carbs, and 55 grams of sugar. And
that's a full McDonald's meal with a soda. Those stats right there. You can just go get a Big Mac meal at McDonald's and have a Coke on the side, and you would have the same amount of macros as that salad that looks healthy or sounds healthy.
Yeah. I mean, think about the amount of fat, the number of carbs, the amount of sugar. And this lady was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really doing something. But these salads, if you think about it, when you go to these restaurants, but in her mind, that's not what she wanted. She didn't want the salad because she thought she was being good.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. She's forcing herself to eat the salad, which is mentally draining her because she doesn't want to eat it. She wants to eat something else. So she's mentally draining herself every day to force this salad down, which is, in actuality, sabotaging her results. And she doesn't, she can. And so it's both mentally sabotaging and it's physically sabotaging her result. And where she can go eat what she wants and get way better, probably better macros because she's gonna eat a smaller portion because it's more filling to her mentally and physically.
Let me read this one. It says, I started intermittent fasting in June of 2019. I've lost 20 pounds. I started working out 3 times a week. I work out more than 8. I haven't worked out more than 8 times in 4 months. I'm doing squeaky clean fasts and my windows range from 4 to 8 hours with a few longer ones thrown in. I eat and drink whatever I want, but I definitely stop when I'm full. I love this way of life. I'm no longer taking any medication for acid reflux or any other medication either.
That's beautiful.
Great.
She got a result. What did she say? She worked out 8 times in 4 months, or
8 times, and she says, I haven't worked out more than 8 times in 4 months. So
oh,
like
okay.
2 times a month, maybe at
Oh, okay.
most.
Can't argue with results. That's what I tell everybody. If that's working for her and she's seeing the results that she wants, don't argue with the results. Other people might have to do other things, but a couple workouts a month is working for her. She's eating what she wants. It sounds like she has good portion control, so she has good discipline when she gets full to stop and not stuff herself. So I think that's a key from what it sounds like from the email. But that's beautiful. That's the whole point of intermittent fasting. To get the results and be able to satisfy your taste palate.
So one of the things that we're going to now move into is keto and the low carb kind of phenomenon. And I will say this, I feel like I just saw a girl who, said to me, if I could have $1 for every time I heard this, I would just be rich. But the girl was very heavy. She was probably, I would say probably around 350 pounds.
Okay.
And I talked to her and she was like, I said, well, you should read my book. And she's like, well, I just have really learned that the only way for me to lose weight is for me to do the Atkins diet or the keto diet.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be mean, but she's at 350 pounds.
Yeah.
That diet's not working for you. Like that is so delusional.
Yeah, that's results. You have to let the results talk to you. So you've been doing Atkins and keto for, let's say, a year or two. You started at 350. Maybe you yo-yoed around a little bit when you first started that. You probably lost a few pounds, and you did it for a week or so. But if you go from 350, 340, 350, 340, and it's a year or two later, then obviously you need to change some things. It's not working.
But what's interesting to me is her exact words were, the only diet that works for me is the keto diet. And she's
Right.
sitting here at 350 pounds. But in
Right.
her mind, because she does see it go down when she does it, in her mind, it's working for her, even though she's still at that high weight. So let's jump into the listener questions. This one's from Kim in Newport Beach. She says, I'm 57 years old and trying to lose weight. When I was younger, the Atkins diet was super popular and everyone was doing it. Now the keto diet is big and I don't know much about either diet. What is the difference and how much fat, protein, and carbs does each diet have? Well, before we answer this, I do want to say I don't suggest you going on the Atkins and keto diet. I personally suggest that you do intermittent fasting, but I think it's good to talk about. I do think not having massive amounts of carbs is a good idea. I mean, I feel the same as you. If I'm eating like bread and lasagna and that just you don't feel good. It just weighs you down.
Exactly.
But Chris, answer that question for her. Talk to her a little bit about what is the difference between the keto and the Atkins.
Well, the keto and Atkins are similar, that they both try to just slash your carbs basically to almost zero. So Atkins is keto's a little more strict than Atkins. I think Atkins gives you around 50, and keto.
So Atkins, when the Atkins starts, what Atkins does, they start you really low. They say under 20.
Oh, under 20. Okay. And keto gives you a little bit of room. So it gives you about 50. So if you think about 50 grams of carbs, you're talking about like one Reese, like one, not good compared to candy, but like one candy bar, maybe 1.5 potatoes. So that's basically your carbs for the whole day. I know the keto focuses a lot more on getting the high fat content. The Atkins is moderate fat, moderate protein. And keto is pretty much moderate protein. Like big difference is keto focuses more on high fat. So the high fat's going to be your energy source. That's basically the crux of that diet. Like we make fat our energy source. You're going to burn fat all day by not having any carbs in your body.
Mm-hmm. And with all the people that I have interviewed that are thin, I would say probably a good majority of them said, some of them would say, I do, when I've gained a little bit of weight, I just bring back the carbs a little bit. Like I kind of tighten up just a little bit. I still am eating them. Like instead of, half of a potato, instead of one whole potato, I might eat half of a potato or whatever it is that they were used to. They were still eating it. They never deprived themselves. They might cut back. And then others would say, a lot of them would say, I just really don't pay attention to the carbs. I eat what I want. If I'm
Right.
starting to gain a little bit of weight, I just take the portion sizes down just
Right.
a little bit.
I've heard similar, and I've heard similar testimonies, and me myself, I do the same thing. Like I eat what I want, and then if I notice maybe one week I'm getting a little out of control, you just take, you just trim it in a little bit. You're just like, okay, I just need to narrow down how many carbs I'm eating. Maybe I don't need to eat carbs. If I eat 2 meals in a day, maybe I don't need to eat carbs both meals, or I need to just worry about my snack and I'll get some healthier snacks or anything like that.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far, but as you know, I've interviewed over 1,000 women, and every time I've watched a thin eater eat, I realize that maintaining a healthy weight is a skill that can be taught and mastered over time. That's why I created a video course that will teach you all the tips that I learned to help me lose over 30 pounds. It's way more powerful to watch the thin eaters than even to listen or to read it. Go to chantelrayway.com/video for a free glimpse. If you're wanting to take yourself to the next level, everyone needs a coach. Every professional player has a coach. We want to come alongside you and help you in your journey. Go to chantelrayway.com/coaching. I just had someone listen to the audiobook 3 times, and she just emailed me and she said by her listening to the audiobook 3 times, that's what did it. That's what allowed her to really lose the weight. We have an amazing offer for you. It's the 2nd edition of my book, which has tons more information. It has the audiobook, the ebook. It normally runs for $29.99. You can get it today for $4.99. Go to chantelrayway.com/deal to get it. Now back to the show.
All right, Jenny in Iowa says, I've lost 10 pounds doing intermittent fasting, but lately it's like I can't shake any more weight off. I've pretty much hit a plateau over the last few weeks, and so I've been thinking about trying the keto diet. But one of the things I love about intermittent fasting is that I'm not depriving myself from anything I'm eating. I love the philosophy of not depriving yourself from foods. If I go to keto, I feel like I'm going to revert back to deprivation. I'm just in a slump and I need something to get me out of it. What should I do? Jenny in Iowa.
I would tell her the big thing is, first, how long have you been doing intermittent fasting? She said she lost 10 pounds, but doesn't say how long she's been doing. So it's only been, a month, and that's great results. It's been a month and a half, 2 months, that's great results. So I would say, 1, give it time. 2, she can also look at her eating window. Maybe she's doing 16-8. And, like we've talked about it before, women tend, when they want to lose weight, they tend to have to get a shorter eating window than guys. So women, for the most part, it seems like 4 to 6 hours has been the key, the magic timing window for women. So I would tell her, if she's not doing that now, try to go 4 to 6 hours with her eating window. Give it more time. She can also try 1 meal a day, which is just, 1 big meal every day. That's it. You just eat that, fill yourself up and fast for the rest of the day. And I think she should see her results start moving again.
Yeah, I agree. I think 1 meal a day, if I do 1 meal a day, it really kind of stirs things up for me. And even 1 meal and a very, very small snack, so that once I do eat that 1 meal, I'm not ravenous. That is really the magic sauce for me to kind of trim down when I need to lose a few.
And I do that about 3-4 days a week. Now I didn't even do it on purpose, but I have 1 big meal and I have that my first meal. And then a lot of times I'll just drink a protein shake at 8-9 o'clock and I'm good for the day. And I'm 200 something pounds. So it's not like, don't feel like you're going to become the skinniest person in the world. If you're a man or a woman that works out, your strength is important, and your leanness and your muscles important. Don't think that it's going to tear away at that. I've been able to maintain my muscle mass and my leanness by doing that.
All right, Michelle in Shreveport. I really enjoy listening to the podcast. And one of your past episodes, I heard a guest talking about carb cycling. I don't 100% understand it, but I do know that you alternate your carb intake. How often, though, is it? Is it daily? Is it weekly? And how does it help you when you've hit a plateau with losing weight? Also, how does carb cycling work with your protein intake and your workouts?
So the carb cycling, what people have done. So this was the only the only carb, I would say, depletion thing I've tried before intermittent fasting. So basically carb cycling, you'll have 1 low day, 20, 50 grams of carbs. Then the next day, let's say Monday, you have a low carb day. Maybe Tuesday, you work out hard. You got your trainer on Tuesday. you'll have your regular amount of carbs, 150, 200 grams of carbs or whatever it is that fits your macro. So basically you just alternate. So you might have 4 low carb days in a week, and you might have 3 regular carb days in a week. So that's basically how carb cycling works. People do that for the same reason they do IF and keto and all that. They figured they cut the carbs down, will lean out, will lose some weight. So that's basic the target of that. What was the other question?
And the problem with it is that I've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, today's going to be my high carb day. And then they eat a bunch of high carbs. Then the next day they're like, oh, today's going to be my high carb day again, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it just gets crazy.
Yeah, you can't go crazy with the high, because it's like I said, it's a specific amount. Like it might be 200 grams of carbs on your high day. Don't go out and get 400 or 500. And then you see from the macros you just read about the salad, it's real easy if you're eating out to get over 200-300 grams of carbs real quick. If you think it's my hard carb day and I can do what I want to do, and then you see your results slow down a lot by going too far on your high carb days.
Yep. All right. This one's from Samantha in Bakersfield. I've been doing intermittent fasting and I've been having great results, but I'm noticing that I have a few problems, like I'm always cold and sometimes I'm constipated. Also, I feel like I'm famished by the time my fasting window ends. When it's time to finally eat, I end up eating so much more than I normally would. Do you have any tips to help with these problems?
Me personally, when it's time to end my fast and it's time to eat and I'm starving, if I can drink like if I can have a little snack, like even one banana, protein shake, anything, just a little bit of tiny snack, that takes the edge off my hunger, so I'm not going crazy. You know, I'm not looking like Cookie Monster, eating a bunch of cookies when it's time for me to eat. So what I like to do,
the hunger snack that you always say, it's time for a hunger snack.
Yeah, that's all. Just get you a little snack with whatever you enjoy. You know, it could be Greek yogurt, almonds, things like that. Eat that first. Wait a few minutes and then go eat your meal. And then what you'll notice is that your appetite and your portions will be a lot more under control, because you won't have that overwhelming edge of hunger.
It's funny. I actually have this in my second edition of my book, because I was like, when I saw my mom this last time that she came down to visit, I was like, I'm adding this to the book. But literally my mom has a little Ziploc bag in her purse, and it has like raw walnuts, raw almonds, just different things. And she literally, every time, like my sister will be in the car, my son will be in the car, and she literally sounds like one of those people that's like, you know, those people who are like popcorn, peanuts, you know, those people at the, that's what she does. She has these little bags, and she just starts taking them out of her purse. It's almost like clockwork. Like around 11:30, she starts to get hungry, and she's like, walnuts, almonds, cashews.
Oh, snack right there.
And she's like, her one thing is that she always says that is you have to have a hunger snack about a half an hour to an hour before you eat, because it calms you down. Because if you're going into that meal ravenous, it's not going to be pretty.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to always hear, you know, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. I remember my grandparents and stuff used to say that to me. So it's the same thing. You know, when you're starving, you go to a buffet or something, everything looks good. I can eat 3 plates of it. But if you notice, when you go to a buffet, when you're just kind of hungry, you know it's time to eat, you're ready to eat, you can just eat 1 plate, be full, eat nice, sizable portions of everything. And you still fill yourself up on the good food, but you're not going crazy and eating 3 plates.
Yes. And another thing that I would suggest is magnesium for the constipation for this person. Because wasn't she saying so she said, I'm noticing that I'm cold, I'm constipated, and I'm famished by the time I eat. So as far as, are you cold? Like if you go a long time without fasting, do you get cold?
Yeah. Sometimes that happens to me too, especially when I'm drinking. I don't know, it seems to happen more when I'm like guzzling water during the fast. I do get, I felt similar things.
Yeah, that's a good idea to just have like, I have a lot of like, I know this is random, but I will drink a lot of like hot water with like a splash of lemon, or just hot water in general, and put like some fresh mint in there, and just drink hot water if you're cold. But as far as for the constipation, everyone knows I'm always constipated, but the only thing that really helps me is taking magnesium. and doing my castor oil packs. So I will put in the show notes all about the castor oil packs. Those help me.
Yeah, those two. And I was, you know, if you get some type of probiotics, you know, fix her gut health. So if you're constipated, that means you're just holding on to all that waste in your system. So you constipated, your belly's probably bloated too. So you probably don't like the way your belly looks. You're like, why am I so bloated? I'm working out, I'm eating good. So some probiotics might help get that gut health going to where, you know, you can use bathroom more regularly, and then I think you'll feel a lot better.
All right, this next one is Betty from Portland. I'm about 2 months into intermittent fasting, and I've heard some of my friends that you can get keto breath while you're fasting. But I don't understand that. If you're only doing intermittent fasting and not a keto diet, then how is that even possible? And that's where people, I think it's funny that they have a misconception that keto, when you do, this is what people don't understand. When you do intermittent fasting, you are going into ketosis. Correct. Even though you're not eating a keto diet. Correct. You actually are going into ketosis. So that's where people they don't understand that. Talk to people about that for just a second.
Well, it's similar because fasting, what we're doing, we're taking a small part of keto and we're doing it daily. And, you know, keto, they're trying to stay there every day. Fasting is basically, you know, long story short, your body's going to run out of carbs to use for energy. That's the whole point of fasting here. And when it runs out of carbs for use, we're hoping to switch over to fat for energy, for our energy source, just like keto does. So we're just taking a small portion of it every day. So for 16 hours, last couple hours, you might be in ketosis instead of being 24 hours a day like a regular keto diet. As far as what was the bit? Oh, she was talking about her breath. So it can be because of the intermittent fast. So one of the good things about intermittent fasting is that it detoxifies your body, and your body can fix a lot of things that's wrong with it. The bad thing about that is it could be in your gut. You know, it's fixing some things. It doesn't create the best smell when your body's basically cleaning itself up and repairing itself. So again, the probiotics might be able to help because basically your breath is smelling like whatever's going on in your gut. If you just feel like your breath smells all the time, you didn't eat anything that makes your breath stink. So basically, whatever's going on in your gut is coming up, and that's what it smells like. So again, the probiotics might be able to help it. Peppermint oil has also been known to help it a little bit. I would try those two things and see if the breath gets better, which hopefully it does. You can't have to walk around. It doesn't matter how skinny you are, you're walking around with.
Yeah, and if you go for a longer fast, what happens is, you know, those keto strips, if you could have eaten like pizza the day before, and then if you did like a, you know, 24-hour fast or however your body processed all of that, as your body breaks fat down, the acids called ketones begin to build up in the blood. And so those ketones then leave the body and they go into the urine. So that's why people say, like, well, do you want to see if you're in ketosis? One of the things you can do is the presence of ketones in the blood and the urine indicate that a person has gone into ketosis. But exactly what you said, like what ketosis means is when a person has reached ketosis, their body is burning stored fat instead of glucose. So you could have had pizza the day before, but you could have gone running and done this and done that, and you've burned all that up. You don't have any glucose left in your system. All you have left is fat. So once you start burning fat, now as the body breaks down that fat, the acids called ketones start building up in the blood. So just doing intermittent fasting actually can get your body into ketosis, and does a lot of the time.
We're just doing a little bit every day. That's all. That's the only difference.
So one thing that I would suggest to them is to start taking peppermint oil. Peppermint oil, if you buy like just the pure peppermint oil, I've got some great ones on my site, but literally just taking a few drops of peppermint oil in your mouth is a great way to, you know, freshen your breath up and not have to feel like you're breaking your fast.
There we go. Got dating tips up here too. And you know what's crazy? Off subject a little bit. Peppermint oil. You know what else it gets rid of? I used to do pest control years and years ago. Peppermint oil. If you have mice in your house, you put it wherever the mice, say they're in your garage. You put peppermint oil along like the door of your garage, mice won't cross it.
Oh, an extra tip. I love it.
Be
We're
skinny
helping
and
with
gluten free. There you
We're
go.
helping with the mice. We're helping you to lose weight. I mean, what else do you want?
You got to provide the value here.
Well, it's always fun having you on this show.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Are ever visiting Virginia Beach, we have a lot of listeners everywhere. You can go check Chris Sykes out. Chris, where can people follow you and your work?
They can go, I'm on all social media. You can go, it's close, like close the door, green, like the color green, and Sykes, like my last name, close green Sykes on Instagram and Twitter, or you can just look me up on Facebook at Christopher Sykes in Virginia Beach.
And it's under Christopher Sykes?
It might be Chris Sykes, actually.
Chris Sykes, yeah. So we'll put all that in the show notes so people can follow you and find out more about you. And if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.